This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. The Mad Canadian is an Ohio-based company located in Cary, Ohio, where they say our seasoning will take your barbecue from good to great. Mad Canadian will be up at the OLC Shrine Cafeteria in Cary, Ohio for some barbecue and bingo this Thursday only from 4 to 7 p.m. So be sure to throw out your dinner plans this Thursday to get some of that sweet, good old barbecue from the Mad Canadian himself. And be sure to check out his social media for more information about him and his food truck and where he'll be heading to next. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, the official barbecue of the Cary High School Blue Devils.
This episode of the Sloopcast also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Who? The Iron Bean Coffee Company is an Ohio-based, more specifically Toledo, more specifically than that Perrysburg, fresh roasted, roast to order, veteran-owned, marine-owned, all beans fair trade certified and USDA certified organic. All of their coffees are all of those things. Fresh roast to order, fair trade, organic, all of that. It's all roasted by hand. Integrity is at the core of what they do, which serves both the farmers supplying those beans, making sure they are treated ethically, but also making sure that you, the consumer, are getting the best possible product, the freshest possible, best and freshest possible product. Kyle, this can be one of those episodes. I can already feel it. So you can find your new favorite coffee over at ironbeancoffee.com. That is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
How's it going, everybody? Ready for some Know Your Enemy today?
That's right. We got them corn huskers. We got the huskers of corn. Like the corn huskers.
All right, Jared, we got a lot to talk about, so let's go right into it.
We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm tired. I'm tired, Jared. traveling for work and got back and we're doing a late recording today. But other than that, I'm good. How are you, Jared?
Well, I was doing okay. But then Buckeye Esquire in the chat just asked the question, is husking the same as shucking in regards to corn? And now that's all I can think about. I think we have to cancel the episode. I don't know how I'm supposed to focus on anything other than that, because I don't know the answer.
Well, let me take it from here, Jared. As we get to know your enemy, the Nebraska Corn Huskers, the Huskers of corn,
or the shuckers.
Or
Who's
the
to
shuckers.
say? Who's to say? Maybe they're the corn shuckers.
So Nebraska 3-6 this season, 1-5 of the Big Ten, but we've mentioned it a number of times in a number of episodes in the past. Every game that Nebraska has lost has been a one-score game. So this could easily have been an 8-1, 7-3, 6-4 type of, or whatever, 6-3 type of team here.
Yeah,
they had close losses to Illinois, Oklahoma, Michigan State, Michigan, Nebraska, and Purdue. It's just a weird team, and I feel like that we talked about Nebraska like this. Was it last year? Maybe it was 2 years ago.
By the way, I think you just said that Nebraska lost to Nebraska when you meant to say lost to Minnesota.
Minnesota, yes.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, that's cool. By the way, it's worth noting here that Oklahoma, top 10 team. Michigan State, top 10 team. Michigan, top 10 team. Minnesota, what what is they're in the top 20. Where did they come in? Anyone help me out here? Where did they come in on the?
Yeah, they're like 21st, somewhere around there.
Somewhere in that area. Somewhere either in the late teens or the early 20s. Minnesota checks in. These haven't been bad teams that they've. Is it higher than that? 19?
20th. 20. They are 20.
By the way, I reached out to my lawyer, and my lawyer has informed me that husking and shucking seem to be the same thing.
Good to get that all solved, Jared.
Yeah.
So Nebraska here, and when I was writing the notes up here, Jared, very surprised to see how much yardage they've really put up so far this year. They're putting up 470 yards per game.
Yeah.
But yet they're a 3-6 team here, and they're letting up so much less yards. They're letting up under 350 yards. And you look at them like, oh, they won a lot of games. They didn't lose that many. It's just so weird looking at the stats here and seeing a below 500 team with these kind of stats. Nebraska's able to do stuff on offense. They're not letting up too much on defense too, but what do you make of this Nebraska team?
I'm still stuck on the Shuckers. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding. They're completely dependent upon Martinez. That I think that goes without saying. Both the leading passer and the leading rusher on the team. They,
leading receiver.
They both live and die by Adrian Martinez. That's
receiver
what it
as
is.
well. Leading receiver as well, Jared.
If only there was a way. If only there's a way. So I mean, you look at these yards, 2,200 yards through the air, 450-ish yards on the ground, and that's 450 yards with 125 being subtracted by sack yardage. So if we're talking about him actually like in a running capacity, it's actually like 575. Now, that being said, he's also taken 22 sacks on the year, which both is and isn't isn't his fault. You know what I mean? Like sometimes these guys sometimes these scrambling running backs don't give up soon enough on a play when they should get rid of it. So part offensive line, part him. But here's what's killer. You see all of these stats, you see all these yards. He's only thrown 12 touchdowns. And that's compared to 7 interceptions. There's a lot of good. Now, it should be noted, he has 11 rushing touchdowns on top of that. But I was just talking passing touchdowns to interceptions as a comparison. I don't think you want your quarterback running for nearly as many touchdowns as he's thrown for. I don't think that's how you have success in 2021 college football.
I'm just doing some math real quick here, Jared. In the month of October here, he's only rushed for 89 yards. Total.
Okay.
Not in one game total. 50 against Northwestern, which he didn't really have to run because they were up so big there. Ended up winning 56-7. 38 yards against Michigan, -17 against Minnesota, and then 18 yards on 10 attempts against Purdue just last week.
Yeah. Now it should be noted that while Martinez is the leading rusher on the team, Johnson's right behind him. So it's almost a tie. They're both rushing for 4.5-ish a carry. But again, you have to note that Martinez's rushing stats are also affected by sacks. So that has to be noted. By the way, getting a lot of questions, a lot of activity over here in the chat about what are the linebackers going to do? Are the linebackers struggling? Are you going to put one of the linebackers as a spy on him? who would be that spy. Guys, you're way ahead of me. Okay, I guess we're putting Cage at spy. I'd like to see it. I think it'd be fun. I wouldn't like to see it from a Buckeye fan perspective, but just as more of a fan of chaos perspective, would I just like to see how that might turn out?
Yeah. I mean, I Martinez can make a lot of guys miss. He's definitely a threat on his with his legs. You gotta have a spy on him because I still don't trust Martinez throwing the ball. As you see, in like if you look at some of these games here, Jared, he's had 3 games this season throwing under 55%
Yeah.
completion, and he's only had 1 game over 75%, which I think that's probably about the realm of where
Who is that
Stroud
against?
is. That was against Oklahoma, actually.
No, okay. Well, that's what happens when you play a Big 12 passing defense. I was fully expecting you to say Fordham. To be fair, I asked you that, and then I was just going to go, yeah, an FCS team. Oops.
Well, he did throw 73% against them. So close.
Okay, fair enough.
So other players to keep an eye out. They got a pair of wide receivers. It's his main target, Samori and Omar. Each of them having a total of 5 touchdowns between the two of them, and what is that? Over 660 yards, or excuse me, 860 yards combined there. But I do note, Jared, as much as we love, especially in the chat, our Discord here, love talking about the year of the tight end. Martinez loves throwing it to his tight end too, Austin Allen, who's leading or is second in receptions and yardage and tied for touchdowns for the receiving group there. So he loves throwing it to his tight end there. So
he has one less than.
You got to definitely, yes, definitely keep an eye out for the tight end.
Yeah, and not to give all of the love, to the offensive side of the ball. There are some players on the defensive side of the ball to watch out for as well. Guys, dare I say it, Nebraska has a better linebacking core than Ohio State, and a lot of these guys are young.
Yes.
You have Henrich, Henrich is a true freshman. Is that correct? True freshman?
No, he's a redshirt. Nope, he's a redshirt.
Redshirt freshman. Okay. I knew he was a freshman. Yeah, you got Reamer, you got Nelson. They have a really great core of linebackers. So that has to be noted. Especially, you had Ohio State sort of struggling in the red zone. So now what we're now watching the offense maybe with a little more caution, a little bit more concern than we were before the Penn State game. That being said, with all due respect to Nebraska, our brethrens in the war against Kevin Warren, their defensive line isn't nearly, yes, thank you, Kyle. Their defensive line isn't nearly as good as Penn State's, and don't mess with me like that, Nomad. And their secondary sure as hell isn't nearly as good as Penn State's. So we're going to watch this game maybe with a little bit more caution because we saw the offense not be perfect last week against Penn State. But they aren't going to bring the same challenges that Penn State brought by any means. Martinez is not Clifford, and this defense, especially in the front 4 and the back 4, aren't Penn State either. So with all due respect to the fellas out in Nebraska, it's not going to be. Ohio State is as good as they are advertised. It's just in my opinion, that Penn State was probably a little bit better than advertised, especially with a healthy or mostly healthy Clifford compared to what Illinois got, which
Yeah.
was a broken Clifford.
And I'm going to give a lot of credit to Nebraska's defense. Like they've done a pretty good job. Yes, they're 3-6, but I think there's a lot more inside the game that happens where Nebraska just has a hard time finishing the games to pull up the victory. But you look here, like their rushing defense is pretty good against Sparty, which Sparty just runs the ball so much. They held Sparty to 2.4 yards per carry. Against Michigan, a little bit more, 4.9 yards. And then in Oklahoma, about 5 yards too. And their passing defense too, only letting up the most, I think all season is like 250 yards. If I'm looking at their big games here, Sparty, Michigan, and Oklahoma, 214, 255, and 183 to Michigan State. This is a good
No,
defense.
Esquire.
Not as good as Penn State's defense, but this is still a good defense that Ohio State has to go up against. So we're really curious to see how our offensive line's going to adjust. If we're going to be able to run the ball a little bit more effectively, that way we can do better in the passing game, get our wide receivers open more. But yeah, I really think I'm really curious to see how our offensive line adjusts from what we saw against Penn State.
The biggest adjustment is just that they aren't playing Penn State this week. And all due respect to Nebraska's linebackers, who I think are very, very good, their defensive line does not scare me for what it's worth.
Well, I mean, they got a senior DT Ben Still, really good defensive tackle. They play a 3-4 defense, so you're not going to see a lot of stats from this defensive line, but their senior defensive tackle, very good. So keep an eye out for number 95 when he's out on the field. Hi, Jared.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say if we wanted to get right into our
Ad break?
our picks here.
Yeah.
We can do an ad break real quick, Jared.
Yeah. Let's do an ad break. Our episodes have been inflating and getting near an hour again lately. Between the guest host and then you missing a couple episodes and then coming back and having a lot to say because you hadn't been on the mic in a little bit. We had like 3 episodes where we were doing. This is just the Ohio State episode, gangland. We're doing national tomorrow because Kyle just flew in, and boy, are his arms tired. Why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Just back up here, Jared. I'll talk about the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company here.
Please do.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, Mad Canadian will be in Cary for some barbecue and bingo at the OLC Shrine Cafeteria this Thursday from 4 to 7. Be sure to check his social medias for more information. Some reviews here, because I like reading some of these reviews. It tells a lot about the Mad Canadian here. Here's somebody saying that the Mad Canadian catered her daughter's graduation party. Not only was the service excellent, food was amazing. Everyone was asking who made that food because it was so good. Well, it was the Mad Canadian. The Mad Canadian. Here's another one saying had some pulled pork, coleslaw, and corn. He does make corn too for the family, and holy crap, was it awesome! Much more great reviews over at the Mad Canadian social medias. Check him out. Great guy, great food. You won't be disappointed.
Great beard.
Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, who are the official barbecue of the Cary High School Blue Devils.
This episode of the Sloopcast also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Who? The Iron Bean Coffee Company. I already did that. Let's talk about some of the specific coffees. I jump on the website here, and Kyle, I think he's having a bit of a sale. He might be having a bit of a sale here. I see a bunch of coffees, $2 off. you might want to jump over there and see what you can get. The Bananas Foster is back and better than ever, or probably mostly the same because it was already pretty damn good to begin with. So it's back and it's still damn good is probably the better way of saying that. Cinnamon roll still sold out. But let's take a look at some of our coffees that are on sale right now. Mom's Carrot Cake also sold out, by the way. On sale are all the K-Cups. You can get a Fierce in a K-Cup. You can get the Ride or Die, or you can get the Rage Against the Dying of the Light. Those are all $2 off per order. And let's see what else is on sale. It looks like our Nordic Trio are on sale at the moment. Your Loki, your Odin, and your Thor. As is the Fear No Evil, which is a black roast. It's dark beyond dark. If you like a dark roast, this is the next level of that. Also currently on sale is the Integrity, which is their flagship coffee. That's their core coffee. That makes a great espresso. That one's on sale. The Cast Iron gets its name because it was originally roasted in a cast iron pan. Then the Drink from the Skull of Your Enemy is another dark roast coffee. Also on sale for $2. The Cast Iron's a medium roast. And Kyle, that's your sale lineup. That's what they currently have on sale over at ironbeancoffee.com. So if you're looking for a deal, there you go. Go check out one of those. You never know, it might be your new favorite coffee. The Iron Bean Coffee Company, America's local coffee roaster.
All right, Jared, let's get into some of our picks here for the Ohio State-Nebraska game. Who do we have as our guest speaker, or our guest picker, I should say? Nomad got a little excited when I said speaker there. Our guest picker, who do we have this week?
Gangland.
Hello, Gangland.
He's in the chat. Everyone, he said me. Everyone say hi to Gangland.
All right, Gangland, guest picker here. So our first one here, Jared, Ohio State player to watch. Who do you have? Who do you have as Ohio State's player to watch for this game?
I'm going Cody Simon. But I'll be honest with you, I could have picked really any of the linebackers here. I actually really wanted to go Steel Chambers, but not going to be available for the first half of this game due to a targeting penalty in the second half of last week's game.
Yep.
But as a lot of the guys were alluding to down in the chat when we were talking about Martinez, this will be a game in which you might have to deploy a bit of a spy at times, where the linebacker is going to play a key role in an offense where you have the quarterback who is both the leading passer and I can't talk today, guys, and the leading rusher on the team. So it's going to be a group effort by the linebackers, but I'm picking out Cody Simon for my Ohio State player to watch.
I just changed mine, Jared. I'm going to go with Luke Whippler.
That's a good answer.
He had a
very good answer.
He had a pretty bad game against Penn State. It's really going to come down to him being able to just not focus on what he did against Penn State and just focus what's ahead of him. I really like what CJ Stroud said I think it was after the game. Somebody asked him about, hey, when he threw that pass and it went over CO2's head there, like what were you thinking there? And Stroud's answer was, I didn't think of it. I just was too focused on the next play. And I think that's what Whippler needs to do here. It all comes down from the center here to get the snaps off correctly here, and gonna have his hands full. It's a 3-4 defense. It's a different type of look, so I'll go with Whippler.
Gangland, since he's in our live chat, wants us to know that he's picking Cam Martinez.
All right.
Enemy player to watch. Kyle, I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm also going to go with Martinez, but I'm going to go with Martinez as the
Adrian.
Nebraska player to watch. Yes.
Just for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons.
That's fair.
It starts and ends with Martinez on how Nebraska is going to do here. They got to score points, and they got to score points in it. Martinez. I don't need to say anything else. Who do you got, Jared?
I am first off. Gangland says he agrees. So he's also taking Martinez. And by the way, everybody, that's the correct answer. But since we're playing podcast here, I'm going to go ahead and pick someone else. I'm going with Garrett Nelson. He is one of the linebackers I was speaking of earlier. Ohio State needs to improve, needs to sort of get past their red zone issues from last week. And again, kind of like with Cody Simon, I'm picking Garrett Nelson here, but I really could have picked Henrich or Reamer. I could have, I probably could have picked any of the linebackers, but I picked Garrett Nelson for a few reasons. I think mostly because I believe he's leading the team in tackles for loss, I believe is the deciding factor I went with there. So that's why I went with Garrett Nelson.
Yeah, I believe he might be also leading the team in sacks as well too. He's the kind of linebacker that really gets there in the backfield and really interrupts the plays. So yeah, that's a good pick if you had to choose someone other than Martinez. Key matchup here, Jared. Who do you have as for the key matchup in this game?
The linebackers versus the quarterbacks, and I'm including both. That's actually 4. Because when I say the linebackers versus the quarterbacks, I'm saying both teams' linebackers versus both teams' quarterbacks. So that to me is Nomad. It's too easy to say offensive line versus defensive line because that's literally always true.
Gangland chooses Craig Young versus Martinez.
All right, so we kind of agree. Sort of, kinda. Sort of kind of agree. Yeah. Kyle, who do you have?
I have the Ohio State offensive line versus themselves.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just putting that pat like I just said about Whippler.
Yeah.
Putting whatever they did in Penn State behind them in the review mirror. Focus on here, cleaning up those mental mistakes. Because you can't have those kind of mistakes against Nebraska. You're going to Nebraska. Offensive line versus their mental mistakes.
That's a good call. All right, Kyle. Next up, we have our 3 final predictions that are all actually the same prediction. We have the spread. Ohio State's favored by 15.5. Without giving too much away, Kyle, who do you have with Ohio State minus 15.5?
Ohio State 15.5. It's a lot of points here, especially with each of Nebraska's loss.
Yeah,
has been a 1-score game.
I hear that. Nebraska's yet to lose by 15.5.
I got Nebraska to cover here. Not by much, but I got Nebraska to barely cover.
All right. Gangland and I are not treasonous assholes, so I'm just messing with you. We're both going Ohio State. So that being said, Kyle, you are in fact picking Ohio State to win the game. Okay, you redeemed yourself. So what is that final score then?
Let's see here. I have Ohio State 38, Nebraska 24.
All right. Gangland has picked a final score of 59-3. It's big. If they can keep Nebraska out of the end zone, that would be huge. He says he's taking Ohio State big. Nebraska won't be able to get their Penix up after the letdown with that blonde chick from Ann Arbor. I don't know what any of that meant, but My final score prediction is 49-20.
Nice.
Shh, don't say the quiet part loud, Kyle. So I don't, Kyle, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Did you have a chance to listen to last week's Know Your Enemy with Mark Givler?
I did, yes.
So I made the game prediction of 59-10. And like, especially with hindsight, a ridiculous score, right? A ridiculous guess. I because Mark Givler is Mark Givler and I respect him so much, and I didn't have the nerve to tell him, well, I had to pick something like that because we have a meme where my scores always equal 69. But I couldn't bring myself to say it to his face. So I just had to let it ride and just like, yeah, no, seriously though, 59-10.
All right, Gangland, what do you have your score to be? Oh, yeah, never mind. He said
I already said it.
50-93. Okay.
I already said it.
Never mind. All right, Jared, any last thoughts? Anything else?
Let's get to Austin's over-unders and the
questions?
rest. Let's get to Austin's over-unders and the rest of the Ask Sloopcast questions.
All right, Austin's over and unders. Martinez rushing attempts at 11.5. I'm going to go over. Go over.
I mean,
the recent games hasn't really shown that. He's averaging pretty much 8 carries a game. But I'll go with over in this one. If Nebraska wants to get in here, Martinez needs to be able to run. Let's see. CJ Stroud.
I didn't answer.
You said yes,
but I didn't say why.
Because
we have, by college rules, we also have to count sacks as rushing attempts, which I think might be the difference.
All right, good point. CJ Stroud completion at 64.5%. I'll go over. He's throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball very well. Over. Ronnie Hickman tackles at 8.5.
That feels real low to me.
That does.
How many? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this quickly or not. Let me see how quickly I can do this. Stats, and stats. I'm just doing the last 3 games. This is going to take too long. Well, I'm abandoning this. But
so
I don't.
The last few games here, Jared.
Okay, Kyle's got it.
14, 2, 6, 11.
2? Wild.
That was against Indiana.
Wild. But yeah, I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go over.
All right. I'll go over as well. Nebraska total yards at 383.5. I'm gonna go over with that one.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again? I don't have the show notes up.
Nebraska total yards at 383.5 yards.
You said over?
Mm-hmm. I said over.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably going to be over. But that doesn't worry or concern me because I feel like Ohio State's, I think, going to score a lot of points, which means Nebraska's going to have to go pass heavy. So I think Nebraska's end up getting a lot of yards this game, especially in the second half when the yards are kind of junky. So I think it's going to end up going over.
Yep.
Total Hoosier. Total.
Ohio State catches by wide receivers, so not tight ends, running backs, or fullbacks, just wide receivers. Over under 19.5 catches by the wide receiver crew. I'm going to go under with that one.
That feels high. I'm going to go under as well.
Yep. Trey Hendo yards per attempt at 7.4.
Over.
I'm going to go over. I think he's going to have. I think the offensive line is going to pave highways for him, and he's going to be over in that one.
Oh, he's been over that number every game except the last game, right? He was averaging, I think, 9 or almost 9 per carry before the Penn State game. And then he had a measly 6.5 or whatever it was against Penn State that was so terrible.
Measly. He had 5.4, so 5.4, 9, 6.4, 8.9, 11.6, 11.5.
Yeah. Over.
Yeah. I'll go over. Ohio State punt return touchdowns over under at 0.69.
Nice. Under. I'm sorry, Kyle, and I'm sorry, Austin. I know you guys both desperately want that punt return touchdown, but
I know.
You're not going to win any money betting that it's going to happen in any one given game.
Mm-hmm. All right. Some more questions here, Jared.
Did you answer?
Yeah, I said under.
Oh, okay. I think you just said it real quiet because it made you sad.
Yeah, sad. Austin has a question here for us. What is the lowest amount of points Ohio State could score and the highest amount Nebraska could score?
I think Kyle's score prediction, I think, kind of nailed that.
Yeah, I think the lowest is, I think Ohio State scoring probably about, against this Nebraska team, I'll say about like 31 points is the lowest, and the highest that Nebraska would score against Ohio State, I would say probably about that score too, probably about 31, 35 points max.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. I think the only way they're scoring 35, though, is under some stupid circumstances. Defensive touchdowns, lots of turnovers. But yeah, it's still possible. But it would take a collapse on Ohio State's side to have that happen.
Yep. Who's your Buckeye Zach? Who's in our chat as well. Vegas obviously knows their stuff. Does Ohio State cover this week? Answer that already. What do you think? Does Ohio State cover, Zach?
Yeah, let's get Zach's answer on that one. Go ahead and ask the next question while we wait.
Okay. Let's see. He says yes. He says yes. Is 2024 going to explode into a fantastic class? Too early to tell. Too early to tell.
2024? They don't have any commits yet. What do you mean 2024? Hold on. I can name like 2023. He's correcting himself. Yeah, I think they're in great position on some great players in 2023.
Yeah. 2024 is a bit of a reach to try to get a handle on that.
2024, Kyle, in 2024, only people I can name in that class is a bunch of quarterbacks and a guy named Cash Cleveland, and that's because his name is Cash Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
How do you forget a name like Cash Cleveland?
Yeah. All right. Also, last question for me from Buckeye Zach here. Who's your Buckeye Zach? Are we, as the Buckeye Empire, spoiled as a fan base? Absolutely.
I mean, yes, but also no. Yes, because we get mad when we beat Penn State, and we don't beat Penn State, who is a very good football team, decisively enough. But at the same time, if we're comparing ourselves to Bama, and if Bama's the goal, we're not meeting that goal. So I don't know. What side of the argument do you want me to take here? Because I can take both of them. Only Saban is Saban, and he'll retire soon, and they won't. So there's a win for you.
All right. Nomad here has a few questions for us, Jared. How many up and backs did Whippler run after the not our rival game?
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's how Day runs things. Honestly.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. But if he did, I would say one for every penalty that he had.
Yeah. What do you have, like 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think like 3. All right. What do the Buckeyes need to do to stop senseless penalties?
Uh, you're you just have to keep playing games. Honestly, the fact that Ohio State has gone this long, I consider how many freshmen and redshirt freshmen are on the field right now. The fact
Mhm.
that penalties haven't been an issue all year is a huge credit to Ryan Day and everybody.
And,
That's
and honestly, to go along with what Jared said, a lot of freshmen playing here, and it's just more time, more playing time.
so watching people, Dinger, Hoosier, a couple other people talking about if Saban's not coming to Columbus. I'm letting you know that right now. Alabama has started scheduling home and homes, which they've never done under Bama. They've never done under Saban. He didn't go to Kent State. No, he did not. Or what do you mean by that? Anyway, no, he did. Alabama did not play a game at Kent. I promise you that. They did not play a game in Akron.
Yep.
He's played now. I'm not saying that Saban's never played anyone good at a conference, because he absolutely has. Yes, they did play at Penn State in 2011, but that game was scheduled before Saban took over Alabama. So that kind of doesn't count. Saban has never done a home and home at Alabama with a prominent team.
Mm-hmm.
He's just never done it. And all of a sudden, Alabama starts scheduling these prominent home and homes. Do you think he's going to on the road to any of those stadiums? Because he's not.
Nope. Let's see here. Has the pendulum swung too far with the defense?
Our resident Kool-Aid drinker,
our
resident SEC Kool-Aid drinker thinks that we're crazy for thinking Saban retires before 2028. You realize he's 70, yes? He is 70 years old. He will not let himself fall into mediocrity. I can't speak, everybody. No, he won't coach until he's 80, because he won't accept himself in a deteriorated state. He won't do it. Joe Paterno was okay with being irrelevant for 10 or more years. He was okay with it because being the coach at Penn State was more important to him than Penn State being successful. Saban will not do that. Saban will not coast for 10 years being a subpar football team. He won't do it. He has more respect for himself than that. He's more competitive than that. He will retire before he gets bad, which is not something that Bowden or Paterno did. But Saban will do it. Saban won't be mediocre. He will not let himself be mediocre. Sorry, Kyle. Next question.
Has the pendulum swung too far with the defense running zone? Asks Nomad.
I don't know. It feels like no matter what the defense does, someone will be upset about it. If they're running too much. That's all I saw against Penn State. Oh, the zone keeps getting eaten up. They need to play more man. Were we all watching the Oregon game? Because I remember everyone screaming, "Why do they always play man? Why don't they play more zone?" The defense you want is the defense in which you're mixing it up.
Yeah. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. You're going to get people complaining.
You don't need to not run a zone or not run a man. You need linebackers who can actually cover people in the field. There, I said it.
Will Stroud ever keep an actual option play? He's
done it. He's done it this year. It's just very rare.
Very
rare. And he'll do it again, but not very often.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a good one. Will Martinez expose our linebackers on the run or on the pass?
I think we've already gone over that in great detail. Or is he asking on the run or the pass, or is he just saying
One or the like?
does he
Which
want us
one?
do you want us to pick one or the other?
Yep.
Nomad?
Yes. That's how I took that.
On the run, because Martinez is a better runner than he is a thrower.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, you can't expose the linebackers in pass defense because Oregon and Penn State have already done that.
Yeah.
That's already been exposed.
Is CO2's draft stock falling with JSN's better playing?
Not that JSN's playing better, it's just that he's getting better stats. NFL scouts don't give two shits about stats. They watch the footage, guys. So they don't scouts they care about they care about your measurables, they care about your skills, they care about your game tape. They don't look to see how many receptions or how many
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about it.
I mean, Olave has 9 touchdowns for the year. JSN has 3. They both have the same amount of receptions right now.
Yeah.
And would you believe me if I told you, Jared, that JSN has a better average per reception than Olave?
That does surprise me. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, that is all the questions we have, Jared.
All right. That's it. That's the end of the episode. Everyone, that's a good point, Nomad. Olave does do a lot of screens. That hurts the average.
Mm-hmm.
I want, if everyone can, it's 10 questions. It's 10 questions. It'll take you 5 minutes. I created a survey so we can learn more about the people listening to the show. It's simply survey.thesloopcast.com. It's just a Survey Monkey survey. Well, come back tomorrow, Dinger. We're doing another episode tomorrow. It'll be fun. Survey.thesloopcast.com. Again, it's 10 questions. It'll take you 5 minutes, maybe slightly more. And it would be huge for us just to know who's listening to the show. It's anonymous. No, you don't need to sign into anything. You don't need to give us your name or your email address or anything like that. Good idea, Gangland. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. If you could please, once again, it'll take you like 5 minutes. It's 10 questions. I think all but one of the questions, or maybe no, it's like all but like 2 or 3 of the questions are either like checking boxes or radials. There's very few like open text boxes where you'd need to write much. And if you come across a question you don't want to answer, don't. They're all skippable. You can go in there and not. So once again, I'll put the link in the show notes, but it is survey.thesloopcast.com. Outside of that, check out our merch stores. Kyle is wearing our Know Your Enemy shirt, which is our best-selling shirt. That is Know Your Enemy. You can buy that at merch.thesloopcast.com. I'm wearing what might be our best-selling shirt in the 7071 store. It says Ohio beer only, and it has the name of a bunch of breweries on there. And I'm actually also wearing Sloopcast merch. I don't know why you can see it, but it's the same design that Kyle wears as a t-shirt sometimes, where it is legally a parody of what is now the Old Crew logo. I don't think anything in Ohio can technically be called bourbon. Doesn't it have to come from Tennessee or Kentucky? But we can do whiskey, spirits, whatever. All right, Kyle, that's it. That's the end of the episode. Since he is part of Kentucky, you aren't wrong. God, you threw me again. You guys have thrown me several times this episode. Kyle, anything in Kyle's corner?
No, not really. I'm just gonna
That's totally
say good
fair.
luck. Good luck to my alma mater They play this Saturday in Ohio high school football.
Kyle, not to tell you how to do your job, but I guess I'm about to do that. Everything before the bud is bullshit. Ohio State picked up 2 commitments today. 2. One of them is a basketball player, George Washington III. He is from the previously mentioned Kentucky, and he is a top 50 national player in the country per the 24/7 Sports Composite. And the Ohio State wrestling Buckeyes picked up a commitment today from Jesse Mendez. So there you go.
All right, awesome. Awesome.
I just turned it into Jared's corner. But no, Kyle's been on the road working since Sunday, so I'm just messing with Kyle. He's been insanely busy with that real life job. We have to have real life jobs because not enough of you have visited patreon.thesloopcast.com. Tonight's ending music will be brought to you by a Columbus-based band called 2 Cow Garage. That is 2 Cow Garage. They'll be ending today's episode. So with all of that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and support your local podcasters. Once again, this is 2 Cow Garage.